Hey, what's up guys, Nate here. In this video, I wanted to talk just really quickly, make a really simple video because there's just not too much going on right now that is more important enough to talk about than what is happening right now across social media. It's no secret that there has been a lot of accounts being taken down on Twitter and certain accounts being taken down on Facebook, and there's just a lot of aggravation happening around that. But I think that me, myself, as a business owner, I'm always concerned really mainly what's happening in the business world and how this affects business owners. I think the unfortunate place that business owners kind of get put in, especially small businesses, is that we're all just trying to work and we're all just trying to make a living and we're all just trying to help other people with their problems. And there's a lot of small businesses that are heavily dependent on social media. I mean, I'm speaking even into the 20,000 per month to 100,000 per month range. It's still a relatively smaller business, and we're all just kind of sitting here like, oh my gosh, like we just want to run our business, and we just want to help people, and we just want to keep trying to survive and make money and grow our business. It's like all this stuff is just so aggravating, all the things that are going on, and it's really frustrating. I feel like for a lot of business owners, me as a business owner myself, it's because it's so unclear what's happening and what the future beholds. And just in terms of looking at the effect that all of this has, I mean, Twitter valuation, I mean, or just their stock overall, I've seen different corresponding numbers, $2.5 billion to $4.5 billion today. I'm not sure what their stock price is at now. That was just what I was reading today, but I just wanted to think for a second and talk for a second about how overall does this affect business, because you would think that it comes down to just the idea of certain accounts being banned on platforms, but how does this affect an actual business? And it really makes you question the viability of what you can say and what you cannot say for your business. And it also, for me, puts into perspective the idea of how much control do we really have if a business is very dependent upon social media, which there's a lot of businesses that are dependent on social media. It's the most profitable way of marketing that before television and radio. I mean, social media is just insanely profitable, and it's unfortunately what a lot of businesses have their profits tied up in, because it's very easy to think short-term with social media, but it's not very easy to think long-term. And I think what's super frustrating about all of this is that as we might see possibly more of this happen, it gets a lot of people frustrated, because the hard thing about censorship and the idea of you're coming to a platform worried and kind of scared for the individual, for the customer. How excited are you going to be to buy an item? Or if you're getting on there, I mean, Facebook's initiative a couple of years ago was to get, the idea of propaganda and ads was something that they wanted to get more serious about, not removing off their platform, but devaluing the idea of that to make it more of a social network. But it seems to me like the past week or two, that things have gotten more on that side, and it's made a lot more people frustrated, which is unfortunate since we just came off the biggest e-commerce boom in history this past year. And so that's one thing that concerns me. It's just, the important thing about marketing is catching someone in a certain mental state or getting them into that and understanding their, emotions and being able to talk to them in a certain way and figure out a problem that they have and be able to give them the solution to that problem. And so I think when you have a lot of this censorship and people are worried, people are scared, people are frustrated, people are just posting political things, everyone's a political commentator, so everyone's got to post political things, that creates an environment that I think is really hard for a lot of businesses to get into that. Now, there are certain businesses that are doing really well, like maybe survival kits and stuff like that. I'm sure those businesses are doing great right now. But I think even just businesses in general, I'm concerned for how they're doing, especially small businesses that don't necessarily have the millions upon millions of dollars to just pour out into advertising on tons of different platforms and stuff like that. And when people are coming to those platforms in that particular state, how much more difficult is it going to be? Or, where they just read some really angry person talking about politics, and they see an ad that's supposed to meant to try and hit on emotions or make them happy or something like that to get them to buy the product. I don't know how excited they're going to be. And this is just me speaking out of my personal opinion. I don't know if this is actually how it's going to be, but from my 45 years of experience of working online, I'm concerned about the emotional state of people and the social ties that they will have to things and people and relationships, because that's what social media is technically supposed to be built on. It's that idea of social ties and building relationships. How easy will it be to build a relationship for you as a business? And just because all of that is so discouraging. Now, I think the important thing to understand about what's going on right now is it's important to sit back as a business owner or somebody who runs a business or is marketing for a business and think about what kind of control do we actually have. And I saw somebody post this over the weekend, and it's something that I preach consistently on my channel, but I want to say it in a different way. Marketers have been talking forever about you need to build a brand. It's like dirty now. Like, it's because every marketer says it, but no one really understands it. And I'm sure there's people out there that are selling branding packages that just suck and they don't do anything for anybody. And it's such a dirty thing now. When I say how important is it to build a brand, I'm not just talking about the idea of building your social media platforms or your colors on your website, but more importantly, how important is it to build a list? The issue with short-term thinking on social media is that you market to people and you're just kind of shooting for those quick wins and top of funnel. That very first time that people see you, but they're not thinking about the back end, not thinking about email marketing and cross-channel, and not getting that name and brand recognition. Coincidentally, I think that SEO has kind of gone up dramatically in value during all of this because, with that lack of control, people may be making a max exodus off of social media. How much more important is SEO going to be? That's going to be very important, and something that I'm now thinking about. Like, wow, if no one's searching on these platforms, or if no one's on this platform, how can we get them in other ways? And those two most important ways are going to be SEO, and they're going to be email marketing. So when somebody is on your list, you have their email. Well, you can send them anything. And if you have permission to send them something in the mail, do a mailer, which we don't typically do. But it's that whole idea of having a customer base. That's really what I think is most important about when building a brand. Things like recognition and building that customer base to be able to ensure that you have more control over your business. Because the less power that you have over these types of things, the more you give away, or the less say that you really have in the matter. It's kind of like you're still working for somebody else. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, you wanted to be an entrepreneur because you didn't want to work for somebody else, because the power wasn't in your control, or you had a desire to solve a problem, but you also wanted to kind of take it into your own hands. That's essentially what you did. You took it into your own hands. But at the same time, there's a lot of small businesses so dependent on social media that they don't even realize the lack of control that they have. They're not building that back end brand with the list of customers and brand recognition, and making sure that these people are key, they're kept in the loop of your business. And it's not building those quality relationships that businesses need to survive, because and without that, they don't have control. You don't have control. And that's the biggest thing that I think about when I look at this idea of censorship, and to see the amount of control other people actually have. The first thing that comes to me is, the clients that I'm working on, the businesses that are out there. How do I ensure that they have the most control over their assets, over their business? Updates typically have a ripple effect, even if it's something as simple as censorship. Now, that might be bigger or smaller. We can't predict that. But it's like throwing a rock in a pond, and you see the ripples, and they get wider and wider and wider, not as potent as they go out farther. That's kind of how just updates are. And so it's how is that going to affect business in the future this coming year? My question from that is like, yeah, if there is an update, how much is that going to affect business? There's obvious ways to mitigate that risk. And to me, that's cross-channel, to make sure that we're hitting all people in all areas of life that they're going into, to try and keep them in the loop and keep brand recognition and keep feeding them the content that they want to see and solve the problems that they have. But at the same time, it's figuring out how do we build a list of 10,000, 30,000, 40,000, 100,000 people. And that's where it can become so vital and so important. But I wanted to make this video just because it's something I think we all need to think about. It's something I think business owners are now, unfortunately, now starting to figure out. Whereas I feel like this is something that I've been building in my business and in the digital consulting that I do and the packages that we sell. The whole idea is to be able to scale for longevity. Longevity is the most important thing here. There's a whole host of reasons that we could list out to why businesses fail, but longevity and profits is what helps a business win. Unfortunately, the culture around social media right now is so, make $1 million now, tomorrow, and not thinking about how do we build a $100 million business in 10 years? And how do we secure those customers in order to make sure that we can get repeat customers, and we're thinking more in terms of a year instead of a week. Lifetime value, we're thinking lifetime value instead of daily ROAS. And so I wanted to make this video to kind of get you thinking about that, because that's something that I'm thinking about and something I think is relatively important. So a little bit of a different style of video today, but I don't know where we're going from here. But at the same time, I want to be able to provide my thoughts, but also provide up-to-date information. It's why I give updates on marketing news. So if it makes sense to you guys, comment down below your thoughts, if what you're doing right now for your business, and how you think this is going to just generally affect the whole idea of e-commerce. Because I think a lot of people were coming into this year expecting e-commerce to continue that high scale rise, but obviously there's so much going on right now that you don't really hear about it much. So yeah, comment down below what you guys are doing for your e-commerce companies, and if there's something in here that you would like me to speak on more, make sure you comment that down below, and I'd love to make a video about it for you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Thanks so much. Until next time.